Hi, this is Rob from Certified Commercial Property Inspectors Association, and today I've got a really exciting new technology, and specifically a new tool to help inspectors understand what's going on underneath the roof surface. This is the Tramex deck scanner, and it is designed to scan the roof deck underneath the roof coverings without any intrusions and any cutting of the roof deck. Some of the potential benefits that you'll find by using a deck scanner like this could be your ability to scan large areas of roof much more efficiently. You're absolutely able to see as much of the roof as you traverse versus just walking the roof and visually seeing what's going on in the top surface. You have the potential to use this as an ancillary service or an upsell service or an additional service for your clients to give them much more information about their roof, and potentially even not even clients purchasing buildings, but people that just want their roof scanned. And lastly, it works completely different than an infrared or possibly a direct moisture meter, because we're not subject to any glare or any ancillary systems that are going to approach on the building, like snow, like ice, like cold, like rain. And so it allows us to scan underneath this roof surface almost down to the subsurface and the roof deck. This particular scanner has 3 settings to it. And within the 3 settings, we can define those as a built-up roof, a modified roof, and a single-ply roof. If you're looking at the built-up roof, with this type of scanner, it'll help you identify wear spots from foot traffic or mechanical damage. It'll help you look for blisters, and if there's any water inside of the blister, and then it'll help you find any cracking that might be occurring within the built-up type roof. Our second setting could be for a modified roof. With the modified type roof and that setting, it'll help you look for the lap joints, any issues that might be happening in the lap joints, as well as seeing blisters again, because we're going to be able to read through the surface into that blister and maybe beyond to see if that blister is spread out. And then lastly, which is the roof we're on, a single ply roof. We can see pinhole leaks. We could look at the lap joints. We could find mechanical damage that we might not otherwise see, and maybe even pinhole leaks or damage from birds or something else. So this type of scanner is designed to penetrate from the surface through and help us discover any moisture that might be down into our substrate. Now that I've got you excited and wet your whistle about the Tramex deck scanner, let's introduce the deck scanner and talk a little bit about what's in the case. First and foremost, with the deck scanner and all of the parts that come with the kit, the entire assembly is less than 50 pounds. Now, you might think that's heavy, but when I get down close here, our deck scanner is 25 pounds. We have a receiver transmitter here that reads all the settings, and the benefit of this, it operates on just 9-volt batteries. So you don't have to worry about running out of charge or something else. You just got to have a few extra batteries in your case. So now that I've shown you the parts in the case, knowing that it's under 50 pounds, this is only 22 pounds, let me put it together and let's show you what it looks like assembled and some of the controls on the receiver. As you can see, I've assembled our deck scanner. This deck scanner took less than a minute, probably 45 seconds at most to install. We've got our deck board, our pole which is nice, is extendable to whatever height you want. You can rotate it to a left-handed or right-handed. And then I've got our receiver point. The only thing we have left to do is talk about all the parts that we see and how each of them work. Now that this is assembled, let's go through the parts and the components that are located on this scanner. First, really easy, we do have a power button. The power button is what turns everything on. Now this only turns on the receiver because down on the deck scanner, which we'll show in a minute, is actually the transmitter portion of it. So the deck scanner does all the work, but this receiver up here will actually receive all the readings. Next, I have a control button. This control button actually adjusts between settings 1, 2, and 3. 1 being super smooth, 1 being a little bit rougher, and 3 being the thickest or the most rough. I would use 3 for a ballasted roof, 2 for a slightly rougher roof like a modified bitumen or a built-up roof, and 1 I'm going to use for a single ply or a very smooth roof. We have a pause button. The pause button and the tone button are used in conjunction with our scanner so that whenever we hit something that's a reading and our gauge moves between 0 and 100% moisture, I can hit the pause button, stop it where it's at, so that I can record the reading. And lastly, we have our set point. And we're going to use our set point when we begin our inspection by calibrating this unit to a known dry area so that we're going to actually read accurate readings. So very simple assembly, very simple means of reading the results. All we have to do is turn on this unit and turn on the deck scanner, and away we go. Here is the power control for the deck itself. Again, this power control has to be on to send the readings and the results up to the receiver. So when we turn this on and turn the receiver on, the unit is ready to operate. To help with the inspection and using the deck scanner, we recommend you follow a 4-step process. First, you should create an inspection checklist. There is a checklist available on our website called Low Slope Inspection Checklist that you could use as your guidepost. Step 2, you should create a map or footprint of the roof you're inspecting. That could be on grid paper, or you could use an image from satellite of the roof. But you need to have a map or reference of the roof that is being inspected. Step 3, perform your inspection and use your graph or your image to thoroughly log any issues or potential issues that you see. Step 4, which is the one you're waiting for, is calibrate the unit and begin to walk the deck and log all of the issues or the moisture readings that you discover while performing your deck scan. Remembering our 4 steps. First, I've created my checklist. I'm using the CCPIA Low Slope Roof Checklist. 2, I've created an image or representation of this roof. In fact, I'm using a satellite image. 3, I've walked this entire roof and I've noted any visual issues on my satellite image. Things that I think are going to be important for me to try to look for when I'm using the deck scanner. And now 4. And finally, I'm going to use the deck scanner to inspect this roof. And with this deck scanner, the first and foremost thing we need to do is turn it on. So first, I turn on the deck. And second, I turn on the scanner. And I want to verify and make sure that I have it calibrated. That's what the set point is. It allows me to calibrate the unit and verify that I am at 0. Once I'm at 0, I'm able to start my scan. Now this deck scanner is 30 inches wide. The manufacturer suggests that you walk a grid pattern across the entire roof at about a 5-foot wide pattern. Kind of like mowing the lawn. So you're going to start in one spot and devise your plan for this roof. Now this is a very complex roof. And so with the complex roof, there's going to be a lot of different angles or different spots It's not just a pure rectangle that other roofs have. So I'm going to start here and begin my scan. Before I begin my scan, I want to talk a little bit about my strategy on how I'm going to use this deck scanner. First, I think we got to talk about safety. I think it's really important that you remember to always walk forward. Never walk backwards on any roof. We need to be safe. And so by always keeping your eye in a forward gaze and walking forward, we're going to ensure that you're not going to fall into some place that you don't want to fall. Now, beyond that, as I'm doing my deck scan, I'm going to be paying particular attention to those areas that I know are going to be suspect. Those could be the areas I discovered during step 3 of our process. They could be also areas that I think could be suspect, like seams in this TPO roof. Areas where downspouts are spewing onto this roof, or roof drains or walking paths. So those are areas I'm going to be paying particular attention to. So with that, I've got my image in hand. I've got my pin ready for taking notes. I'm calibrated. And what I'm going to be listening for is the audible tone of the machine saying it found moisture, as well as the needle of my gauge moving when it detected moisture. So let's begin. I'm going to start here, working at about a 5-foot grid pattern. And I'm just going to walk a normal pace. Just like mowing the lawn. Got a little bit of tingle here with the scanner, only about 1 or 2%. But where this downspout is on this roof, I'm going to make a little bit of note. And I'm just going to put 1% on my notes. Then I'm going to come this way, turn, and then go back this way. Still working that 5-foot grid pattern, turn, and walk this way. And the whole idea is I need to walk every foot of this roof. Now, when you're thinking about your normal roof inspections, you might not walk every foot of this roof. You might get a very good angle of this roof. But in this particular case, using this deck scanner, it gives me this ability to see as much as this roof as possible. And what's nice with a TPO roof like this, it does give us some seams for us to keep a straight line with. As I go around here, I'm going to go around this very carefully. And oh, I just got a reading of somewhere between 22 and 23%. So that's a higher reading than the 1% we had over there. So I'm going to go to this drain. I'm going to make my mark right here on this drain and put 23%. And now the important thing for me is I'm going to try to travel all around here and see if this moisture is under the ply spreading. And I'll know that by looking at my gauge, or whether it's a pinpoint something going on right here. So as I go through this area here, I'm not getting any readings. As I go through this area here, I've got a small reading of 4%. And we're right at the roof drain. And I've got a small reading of 2%. And then no readings. So it's almost in the feeling that we've got a little bit more moisture right here in this area, a little bit less moisture as it sits through here. And so I'm going to recommend that my clients pay particular attention to that corner right here in this area of this seam. So I would continue this through the whole rest of the roof and create a grid pattern and a synopsis of my opinion of the moisture underneath this roof deck. So it's taken me about a half hour to do this section of roof. And I wanted to summarize what I found. This is a pretty good roof. I've discovered, using the deck scanner, a couple of small pinpoint spots that showed moisture, but nothing that really shows that we've got a significant issue going on with this roof. You might discover other roofs that will provide much more detail of issues you might otherwise discover. In doing this inspection with the deck scanner of a roof that might be in lesser condition than this one, you will find many more issues or areas of moisture than I discovered on this roof. By taking those issues that you discovered in those readings and mapping them accurately on your representation, you can connect those dots and create a pattern, almost like taking a topographical map and showing the elevations of a building. You can take the pattern of this and show the moisture that otherwise you might not see visually from the surface, and let your client know the condition of the roof underneath the surface. Because as we know, the roof is part of the big three, or three most expensive things that they can have in a building. And doing a deck scan like this will show issues that your visual eye on the surface might not otherwise see, because I can scan, based on the settings, several inches down underneath this roof surface. Using the Tramex deck scanner as a investigative tool for your commercial property inspections really holds a great deal of benefit for your clients. This deck scanner is able to penetrate through the roof surface down into the insulation or the layers before the moisture manifests into the sheathing. And in that case, down into the interior. Because we know as inspectors, moisture is one of the toughest things to track. And using an analytical tool like this, a tool that's able to read and penetrate through these surfaces, can help us better understand these conditions that we can't otherwise see. Because we know a roof deck like this is one of the big three most expensive items we're going to have on any commercial building. Whether you use a deck scanner like this on every inspection, whether you treat it as an ancillary service, or whether you become your market's industry expert in tracing roof moisture, I think the deck scanner is an excellent tool to add to any commercial inspector's tool bag. Now, speaking of tool bags, the CCPIA does have a member benefit available to you as a discount through inspectoroutlet.com, a way to get this deck scanner at a discounted price. So consider using it on your commercial inspections. I certainly would if I was out in the field, because I think this is the only way that I'm going to be able to see that latent moisture that I might not otherwise discover with my eye walking a roof.